Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Adam Rich, and let's just jump right into it. Do you believe that feminism is moral? Is that I know that we live in a time right now where it sounds like great to say you're a feminist and you're all for women's rights, and I think most decent people are all for women having rights, especially in America. But I don't know that the new age idea of feminism is 100% moral the way that we would normally think of it in the past. Like, for instance, I think back, 100 years ago, obviously, we wanted women to have rights. We wanted them to be, I guess back then we didn't, but as a society. But I think nowadays society is in a point where we all kind of agree that women should be allowed to vote, women should have rights, women should be allowed to move up the company ladder and go as high up as any man in the country. Yeah, well, especially in the world, but we can only talk about America's laws here. Because let's be honest, over in the Middle Eastern countries, there's a lot of them that laugh at the idea of women having rights and being able to vote and having equal opportunities that men do. But we're not talking about them. We're talking about here in America. And I think now there's a huge push. You hear it all the time. And this is honestly why I wanted to get into this, because to be quite honest with you, I never mean for my show to be like a political show. I'm not trying to push some kind of an agenda. I'm not trying to sway people to be one way or the other or anything like that. That's not why I'm doing this show. That's not why I started this in the first place. However, when there's an idea or when there's something constantly being pushed through the media or everyone's talking about, or if something's really like weighing on me, that's what this is for. To me, this show is it's more about the ideas, and it's about the issues that are going on in the world. It's about topics that people aren't really discussing. It's any form of people, including myself, being able to gain wisdom. That's why I'm doing this. That's exactly why I want this to be put to video or be out there on the internet or whatever. I want people to see, because I don't think that I'm 100% right on all my ideas. I mean, I think the ideas that I believe in, obviously I believe I'm correct in, or else I wouldn't be believing them in the first place. But the point is, I know I don't know everything. I know I don't know all the answers to everything in the world, and I don't think anybody does. However, the whole point of this show is to get people talking about those things. Like, I want to discuss things, and if you feel that I'm wrong, please let me know. Please throw that at me. Please comment and let me know why you think I'm wrong. I don't care to hear, like, if you want to just go on my comment on YouTube or comment on Instagram and just say, hey, I don't like you, you're an idiot. Cool, you can do that all day. I'm not the type that's going to be like, oh, you need to ban them and they shouldn't be allowed to talk, and I don't want to hear that on my channel. No, I'm a grown man. I can handle the criticism. If you want to say I'm fat and ugly, fine. You can have your opinions, right? I don't care about any of that. What I do care about, though, is I want everyone to have an equal opportunity to be able to voice their concern or comment if I'm wrong, if I'm right. I want people to agree. I want people to disagree. Whatever you personally feel about what I'm talking about, or especially if I have guests on and we're discussing something and you don't agree at all, please let me know, because this is the only way people grow and learn, is by believing a certain way and then having somebody correct that if they're wrong. If you're right, then the truth will figure itself out. The truth will kind of come to the forefront. Like, for instance, if I constantly tell you the sky is blue and you're like, no, it's not, it's purple or whatever. Well, you have color charts to figure that out. You know what I mean? You have, there's the truth lies somewhere in there. And I don't think that just because I say something or I put it out on YouTube or on Spotify or whatever, if I put it out there to the world, I don't think that I'm necessarily 100% right every second of every day. I'd like to believe that I am. And all I can do is just try to voice my opinions, ideas, topics that are going on in the world. All I can do is I can voice how I feel about it. And if I'm wrong, we'll figure it out together. We're going to figure it out at some point. Somebody's going to correct me and say, you're definitely wrong. Here's why. Evidence A, B, C, D, all the way, whatever. If I'm wrong, I want to know. because I don't want to keep pushing ideas. I don't want to keep talking about topics and ideas and having this mindset that I think that I'm right all the time. And turns out I'm wrong about something, right? If I'm wrong, let me know, please. That's what we're here for. That's why I encourage everybody to be a part of this podcast. I don't want there to be anybody that thinks this guy's not for me. And it's not due to being liked or because there's going to be some things that I say that are going to piss a lot of people off. I'm sure of it. But sometimes, one, the truth hurts. Two, sometimes I'm wrong. And three, which is very rare. And then three, sometimes people just need to hear it, whether you like it or not, because we're in a society now where if you say the wrong thing and it bothers somebody or it offends somebody, all of a sudden your video gets demonetized. You get in trouble at work or school. You could be suspended, expelled. You could lose your job completely. You could be demoted. There's a number of things that can happen to you if you just say something that people don't like nowadays. And to be honest with you, I don't care. I don't care if you like or hate what I'm saying. If it's true, it needs to be said. Now, I'm not going to go out of my way to try to hurt somebody's feelings. That's not what I'm about. What I am about, though, is getting to the bottom of something, whether you like the way I feel about it or not, or vice versa. Maybe you're 100% right and I'm 100% wrong. And I don't care. If I don't like what you have to say, I still want to hear it. That's the difference with me and most people, is I do want to hear. If I'm wrong, I want you to show me. I want to be, at the end of the day, I'd like to look back at the time that I'm 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, and I'd like to be like, now I know it all. And of course, nobody's ever going to know it all. I don't care if you live 1,000 years. You're not going to know everything. There's plenty of things that are going on in the world right now that we still have no clue about. The smartest people on earth are wrong. And one of my favorite sayings, sorry, my nose is itching. I swear it's not Coke or anything like that. It's just, my nose is just going crazy. The allergies that I have, especially in Michigan. Anyone that lives in Michigan, you know what I'm talking about, especially if you have allergies. It's not a good time of year right now today. It really isn't. But anyhow, sorry, I'm trying not to be obnoxious about it. But anyway, point that I'm trying to make is, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, I don't care. I want to know at some point, I want the right answers. I want all of us to know as much as physically possible. That's the whole point. I feel like when you go to school, elementary through college, you're only going to be taught certain things. You're only going to know so much, and it's on you to figure out everything in between. It's on you to figure out all the other things. It's on you to read and study and learn. And now there's no excuse, really. If you're wrong about something, most things can be figured out to correct you simply by Google. And I keep looking over here. You guys can't see it, but that's where my phone's at. There's always going to be ways of figuring out the truth. Sometimes it takes an entire group of people, and that is exactly why I'm doing this show. That's exactly why I want people to be involved in this. I encourage every single person on the face of the earth that has a computer, that has access to YouTube, that has access to Spotify, that has access to Instagram. I want anybody that can get a hold of me to let me know whether you agree, disagree, and why. Because here's the thing, I don't only want to be corrected if I'm wrong. I mean, that's nice, and some people hate that. I welcome that because I want to know the truth. I want to know as much as physically possible. I've said that multiple times. I want to know as much as I can possibly know in this lifetime. That's what I want. I want everybody to know as much as they can, because I think a lot of times, especially in today's world, you do have Google. Okay, you do have access to the internet. Most people do. If you're watching this, you probably do. And I think that when you have this kind of access to knowledge, there's a part of me that says it's inexcusable to be, I don't want to say to be wrong, because everyone's wrong about something, but if you don't know something, instead of just spewing out BS of what you don't know, to me, it's much better to take a step back, say, I don't know, let me go figure it out, and then go look it up on your phone, on the computer, on the internet, wherever you can. And man, this is killing me in my nose. Sorry, but there's no excuse for pushing BS, okay? Because, and I do this too. This is what I'm guilty of, and I'm sure I'm not alone on this. There's times where I say things that I think I know, and then I find out later I'm wrong. So it's not that I'm purposely pushing wrong information or I'm not finding out. It's that I already think that I'm right, so I'm saying what I think I know and then find out later I didn't know. And it sucks to find out like that, dude. I really hate that, because if you're wrong and you think that you know something and you act like you know something and you're spewing it to other people like you know, and then you don't know, oh, it's terrible. It's a terrible feeling. For me, it is, at least. It's terrible. I promise I'm not going to itch my face the entire time. But that being said, I want to get back to this original thought that I was talking about when it comes to feminism, because it's been constantly I watch certain shows or news outlets, whether it be on the internet, whether on TV, whatever, and I constantly hear about this, like if you don't support feminism, you're an a-hole. And I think that a lot of people are misconstrued about they've misconstrued the information about what it actually means to be a feminist. Because here's the thing. I am all for women having rights of every category that men do. I think that men and women should have equal rights, period. Of all colors, sizes, creeds, whatever. If you live in America, personally, I think the whole world should have the same, or should have equal rights, should have good rights. But let's start with our own country. Let's start small, because we're not going to fix terrorist countries and I don't want to say countries like they're all, like there's a whole country of terrorists. But the point that I'm saying is every culture, every country, every group of people, they have their own culture, their own set ways, their own ideas, the religions, whatever it may be. What I'm talking about is here in America. What is legislatable, if that's a word? What you can measure. I mean, like you think of feminism now as men are getting all the good jobs, they're getting higher pay, they're getting all these special treatments that women aren't getting. I don't want that. I don't want there to be men getting special treatments that women don't get. That's not what, I don't think that's 100% what feminism is based on, today at least. Years ago, when this whole feminist movement started, it was all about, we want equal rights. Just like when Martin Luther King had his I Have a Dream speech, it wasn't about, I want people of color to get extra benefits that white people aren't allowed. That's not what he said at all. What he said is he wants all people of all color to be treated equally. So when you see this huge push, especially from the left right now, this huge push in the media, in universities, at the job place, your place of business, if you will, even if you won't, there's a giant push for, people of color to get extra, like affirmative action, for instance, right? That when that started, it was started in a time when people were under the assumption that white people are getting all these extra benefits, and we need to help minorities extra because white people have such a huge benefit. Well, fast forward many, 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 many years later, you see that there are certain times in school, like in universities, where two kids, let's say an Asian kid and a black kid, will get the same scores. And then they purposely choose the black guy instead of the Asian guy. And to me, the reason why I'm comparing black and Asian is because if I compare black and white, then it's going to sound like because I'm white that I'm biased and I'm trying to root for white people. And that's not what I'm getting at. I want all things to be equal for all people. I really do. I want it to be equal for men and women. I want it to be equal for straight and gay. I want it to be equal for white and non-white, if you want to go that route. I want it to be equal for everybody. But I think when you get into this category where you start making things, it becomes a dangerous game to play from an unbiased standpoint. That's why I chose black and Asian, because I'm not either. I wanted to take a route where I don't have a stake in this game, if you will. I don't have anything to gain or lose when I'm talking about two races that aren't my own. When you go the route of picking one specific color more than another to try to help one, that's the definition of racism. And if you choose that and you do the same thing with feminism, if you choose that you're going to, if a man and a woman have the exact same scores, or even if a man has a little bit higher score or is a little bit extra qualified, but you want to go this route of feminism where you want to purposely choose the woman because you want more diversity and because you want to choose the woman over the man to try to help the women. I get helping the women. At the same time, I don't understand how it's morally right to help. If a man is a little bit more qualified, just even a slightly more qualified than a woman, but you specifically choose the woman just because of some agenda base or what a lot of people call a quota at work or whatever, when you do that, it's a dangerous game because now you're taking somebody that's not quite as qualified and you're giving them the job purely because you want to have the appearance of supporting a cause. And that's terrible. That's a terrible thing to do. That's not, to me, that's not morally correct. Now, if they're 100% equal on all levels, man and woman, you know what? Go ahead. You pick whoever you feel like you need to in that scenario. But that's assuming every ounce of testing and qualification is identical. In that case, I don't care who you choose. I really don't. And I don't think there is a right way or wrong way depending on the job. Like say it's a firefighter and you know that a grown human being has to go carry a 250-pound man out of a burning building, and your man and your woman that have tested for the job are 100% equal. There I will say I want the man, because in that aspect, the man can probably lift more. Now, if you find that the woman can lift more than the man, get the woman. Totally get the woman. Because in that scenario, I want somebody who's going to be physically capable of doing the type of job that needs to be done. And it's not just always about physicality. Like, for instance, there's way more women nurses. There's way more women teachers. I'm not against the fact that there are more women nurses and more women teachers because maybe more women tried out for the job and maybe they were better qualified and maybe they got the job because of that. In that case, that's awesome. But if you specifically are choosing women over men just because they're women, I think that this is 100% morally incorrect. Unless they're equal, 100% equal in all fields. And I think that if you do enough testing, I think that you'll find that they're not 100% equal. So if the woman is more qualified, pick the woman every time. But if the man is more qualified, why would you pick the woman just because of an agenda? That to me is where it gets dicey. That's where I think that the idea of feminism is not morally correct in today's world, because they're not going off an equal playing ground. They're specifically choosing the woman just so they can say that they chose the woman. Now, granted, you can't prove this, like it's not going to be written down at work, or it's not going to be written down in the field of which you're hiring, because nobody's going to go, well, we chose the woman because, feminism. They're not going to write that. They're not going to ever say, well, we chose the woman because we needed more women here. No, my point is this. Any walk of life, any career, anything that you do in life, whoever is the most qualified should get the position, whether it be getting enrolled in a university, getting the job offer, whatever, in the Army, whatever it is that they're trying to shoot for, or military. Sorry, I don't want to leave out the Navy and the Marines and all, and Air Force either. But the overlying thing here is that I feel 100%. If you are the most qualified, you should get the job. There should not be affirmative action in the sense of picking a minority over a white person just to pick the minority. If they are equal in testing, pick whoever you want. If the Asian guy has just a 1 point better than the black person, you pick the Asian guy. If the Arabic guy has 1% better than the Latino fella, you pick the Arabic guy. You pick whoever is the most qualified, and I cannot possibly preach that enough. Now, I know when I say that affirmative action sounds bad in a certain way, it's going to sound terrible. Anybody of a minority is going to be like, screw this white guy, he doesn't understand, blah, 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 blah. I'm well aware of all that coming my way. Bring the heat. But you got to understand where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a logical, non-biased area. That's why I took white out of it, because I don't want this to be a white and black thing and all the white guys have everything and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't care about that. What I care about is that everything should be equal. People should be treated equal. We're all human beings. We are all equal in a sense. Now, like I said, if you got a guy that's a complete genius, and then there's a woman who's, her scores were terrible on her test, and you choose the woman, dude, this is terrible. This is terrible for society. It's not good. It doesn't. I don't understand how it could benefit in the long run to specifically choose somebody who's worse at their job, or at whatever given thing that you're trying to get them involved in. If you're specifically choosing to, well, let's just give it to her because she's a woman and she's a feminist and all. Like, if you think about it, dude, it's crazy to me, because we're at a point now in society where people will specifically choose gay over straight on purpose. They'll specifically choose women over men on purpose. They'll specifically choose minority over white on purpose. And it doesn't, to me, it doesn't make an ounce of sense. I understand that things were very heavily biased one way so many years ago. I get that. But to try to overcorrect that because you're trying to get even is not the true way to, to bolster your society. If you want all this, like, here's for instance, I'll give you an example. If you choose, let's say, we'll take 5 men against 5 women. Say the 5 men, just for the argument, it's not a biased thing, just for the argument, say the 5 men are just brilliant scientists, and the 5 women are good scientists, but they're not quite to the caliber of what the men were. If those 5 women collectively are not as smart as the 5 men, or not as talented, or not as skilled in whatever field they're getting into, and you choose those 5 specifically, and then you take the 5 men and just kind of discard them and leave them out in the street, well, now you have 5 men that were extremely qualified, extremely brilliant, and could potentially smarten up society and make groundbreaking discoveries that the women might not have been able to make. But you're pushing them out in the street. You're specifically hiring the people that aren't as smart in a field where it pays to be smart. And that to me is like crazy, dude. Like, and reverse it. Say the 5 women were extraordinarily more brilliant than the 5 men. The 5 men were like trash collectors and burger flippers and bank tellers. And then the 5 women were brilliant scientists. I don't think you should take the men. That would be idiotic. That would be dumb. So to take the 5 people that are less qualified just so you can try to say, well, yeah, see, we're equal opportunity employer, or we support minority and feminism and gay rights and transgender rights and all these different rights for all these different groups. The bottom line should always be, at least from this day forward, maybe it wasn't in the past. I get it, dude. It wasn't. Like, there was slavery. There was people against gays. There was women couldn't vote. There was all kinds of things done wrong in the past, but that doesn't mean you overcorrect in the future to try to even things up. That's not, you can't get even for the things that happened in the past, and I'll show you why. For instance, you get into slavery. If you talk about slavery, and I'm not just talking about here in America, I'm talking about the whole world. So as soon as this becomes like somebody's attacking me for like white going after black slavery, I'm not talking about black slavery. I'm talking about slavery, period. I'm talking about the Jews in Egypt that were trying to help build the pyramids, or not trying to, they were forced to. I'm talking about all the Jewish slaves that Hitler was trying to take, and some were slaves, some were killed. I'm talking about also the black people that were slaves here in America in the 1600s and 1700s and 1800s. I'm talking about all over the world. There's Asian slaves. There were white slaves in certain countries in the world. The bottom line is this. You can't take slavery in the past and say, well, look how wrong it was and look how terrible white people were for black slavery in America. We need to overcorrect that and now make it bad for white people because of how bad they were in the past to black people. I get that they were horrible. I'm sure some of my ancestors, I don't know, I haven't done the ancestry.com thing, but I'm sure some of my ancestors were terrible. But what you probably don't know just by looking at me is I also have Native American in me. Not that much, because obviously I look pretty damn white, but I have enough Native American in me to feel a certain way about what was done to Native American people. And you don't have to be Native American to feel bad about what happened to Native Americans. Like, I use this argument all the time. People, like, I got guys at work that'll tell me, like, slavery is the worst thing that's ever happened in this country. Well, how about the whole entire genocide of an entire race of people? Like the Native Americans. Like, still done by white people. You can still blame white people. You can still say white people were terrible, shitty people, and they should be punished for what they've done. Well, I understand the idea behind, like, look at what they did. But the bottom line is, that was so many years ago, I wasn't involved in that. I didn't do that. So, like, you got to look at it in this aspect. No black person today in America has dealt with slavery from the 1800s or 1700s or 1600s. None of them have. None of them were alive then. So they haven't dealt with the kind of slavery that was done to the people in the past. Therefore, I don't think that they deserve some kind of reward or a benefit for what their ancestors went through, just like I don't deserve to be punished for what my potential ancestors may have done. You see what I'm saying? Like, logically, this is not some hate speech. This is not a rally the whites type of speech. I'm not into that. Anybody who knows me knows I can't stand KKK. I can't stand Nazis. I can't stand any kind of a hate group, regardless of color. If Native Americans rose up and said, screw all the white people, and wanted to attack, I wouldn't be for that either. But to say, I'm sorry about my nose, man. Dude, it's killing me. Oh, sorry. Get it out of the way. Get it all. Get it all. Sorry. Damn, dude, this is terrible. I hate Michigan. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. I love Michigan. Hate Michigan. That being said, now my eyes are, yeah. So we're good. We're not going to edit this. It's going to be out there for everyone. Enjoy that. So that being said, though, you can't take a group of people today and punish them or reward them because of something that happened because of their ancestors, man. Like, that's not fair. And I understand what happened in the past is not fair. Life's not fair sometimes. But the point of the matter is, why should anybody today have to suffer for something that happened from their ancestors 200 years ago? And vice versa, why should anyone benefit today because of something that happened 200 years ago, or 100 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, or 5,000 years ago? The point is, times were different, times were rough, times weren't fair. But, like, if you want to go that same route, let's break it down into something not so, like, detrimental as slavery. Let's talk about women's rights. Back to the feminism thing. Just because women weren't allowed to vote, 100 so years ago, does that mean that now they should get all the votes? Like, that's where I'm going logically with this. You can't overcorrect for problems that we had in the past. You can't, that's not fair to do, because the people that are dealing with that now weren't the people that did the wrongs back then, or were the beneficiaries of things that happened back then. Like, for instance, say my say my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents had slaves. I don't know that they did. I'm not saying they did or they didn't. I have no clue. I really have never checked into it. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they're horrible people. They might have been the worst slave owners of all time, for all I know. I don't know that. But say they were. If they owned slaves, my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather owned slaves, right? Say he did. If he had slaves and he was a horrible, horrible, horrible man, why should I have to pay for that? I didn't do it, nor do I support it. I don't think any of that's right. I think that is a horrible thing that happened in the past, but the whole world kind of dealt with slavery at one point. So to punish just white people, or just like the people that are alive today in America for things that happened so many years ago, it's not my fault. I didn't do it, so why should I have to suffer? And the same thing goes with women's rights. If women weren't allowed to vote 100 years ago in this country, should they get all the votes now? No. But they should be allowed to vote. Absolutely, they should be allowed to vote. If you're above the age of 18, boy, girl, gay, straight, whatever you are, you should be allowed to vote in this country. But that doesn't mean that because you couldn't vote 100 years ago that you should get all the votes now, or you should get the majority of the votes now. You can't overcorrect population or society. You can't overcorrect on these rules. It just doesn't make any sense. So I'm trying to think of like I'm sure there are tons of scenarios. I'm sure there are so many, like another black people couldn't vote in this country so many years ago. Should they get all the votes? Or should them and women have to split the votes? Like, it doesn't make sense to do that is what I'm getting at. So my point is, why should people today have to suffer or benefit from things that happened 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 1,000 years ago? It doesn't make sense. Like, Hitler was a horrible, evil POS. I think everybody can agree with that unless you're some diehard Nazi kook, and in which case, I got nothing for you anyway. I don't care about your opinion at that point because you're obviously nuts in the head. If you back Hitler, if you think that dude was onto something, like you got issues, man. And I don't support you or your opinions at that point. You've lost credibility, in my opinion, for your opinion. Your opinion means nothing to me at that point if you fully support Hitler. That being said, Hitler killed a lot of Jews, and probably plenty of other types of people too. I'm sure he did. It wasn't because he loved blonde hair, blue eyes. If you didn't have it, you're out. And it wasn't just Jews. Mostly Jews were killed, like, 6 to 12 million? I always get the numbers kind of mixed up. I don't know what the actual number is. But my point is this. One Jew is too many to be killed, right? I don't mean one Jew is too many. I mean one Jew getting killed, one Jewish person getting killed is a huge problem. That's not okay. He killed, like, millions of Jews. Does that mean that because he did that to them, that they get some kind of massive benefit in the world today? No, it doesn't. And I don't think that they're asking for that. They're not. I've never heard one. I know plenty of Jewish folks. Not one of them have ever come to me and said, well, that thing that Hitler did to my grandparents, I should get a bunch of money for it. I should get a bunch of benefits for that. I've never heard one say that. And let's be honest, most of the Jewish people I know, and I'm not saying this to be offensive, it's just kind of, and they're smart with money, I'll say that. They're very smart with money. And they like to collect it, okay? They like to do good things with money and keep it a lot close to themselves, But that being said, they're not even asking for money. And they were screwed horribly because of this guy around the world. It wasn't here in America. It wasn't just in Germany. It was everywhere he saw a Jewish person, they were done. If he had his way, it was a wrap for them. But they don't ask for anything in return. The Jews that helped build the pyramids, they don't ask. And even if you want to say, because I've heard a lot of people say, oh, well, it wasn't really the Jews that helped them. It was just the Egyptians. Okay. Don't act like the pyramids were built by a bunch of people that had a bunch of money and they just wanted to do this for a hobby. It was certainly built by a lot of people that didn't want to do that. Because these people were... Now, I'm sure some people probably got paid. I'm sure. To me, what seems like would make the most sense is if there were any Egyptians that were involved in this, they probably got paid. And if there were any Jews who the Egyptians hated back then, if they were involved, I'm sure they didn't get paid. Or if they did, it was very, very little. I'm sure they didn't have equal rights between Egyptians and Jews back then, building the pyramids, however many thousands of years ago it was. If they don't have equal rights now, they certainly didn't back then. So to act like the pyramids were built by a bunch of hard workers who got paid really good, no. It was certainly built by a bunch of hard workers, but they certainly didn't get paid very well. At least the non-Egyptian ones. That to me makes perfect sense, regardless what time we're in. It just doesn't seem logical for that many years ago, especially for Egyptians to not really care much for Jews. And it's a very well-documented fact that Jews were slaves in Egypt for many, 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 many years. That being said, they don't ask for stuff in return. They know they what they do nowadays is they appreciate that things are not like that anymore. They appreciate that things are different. And that's kind of where we need to be in society as a whole, man, is we need to be in this point where we understand that things were bad a long time ago and things aren't perfect now. But we're heading in that direction. We're heading in making things right. But I think the only fair thing to do is to try to treat everyone as equally as physically possible and let the chips fall where they may from this day forward. Because think about it. Say you start today. Say nothing is fair right now. Say everything is completely just backwards and like nothing's fair and everyone's getting screwed. But today we change the rules and we say starting today, everybody's equal in the whole world. Every man, woman, we'll say adults, all right? I don't want to throw children into this because up to certain ages, everything could be whatever. But we'll say adults, 18 and up. Every adult from this day forward, we say is now everyone's equal. Man, woman, gay, straight, tall, short, whatever, doesn't matter. Everybody is treated equal. Well, if you start today, regardless how fair or unfair the past was, you start today, in 1,000 years, what does that look like? In 1,000, imagine that today everything is equal. You're going to have some bumps and all that up, along the road early on. But after 100 years, 200 years, 500 years, 1,000 years of everything being completely equal across the board, it looks amazing, and nobody even remembers what it was like 1,000 years ago, or they do remember what it was like 1,000 years ago because of texts and computers and all that stuff. And they look back and they're like, man, it was terrible back then, but at least things are great today. And if everyone is treated equal in the entire world, why would anybody care about what it was like 1,000 years ago? Nobody's alive 1,000 years ago, so all you're going to look back at is that society is going to look back at the 1,000 years and they're going to be like, man, look how messed up it was. Man, these people were primitive back then. Things were terrible. And that's true. Things were terrible a while ago. But to add extra benefit to try to overcorrect for things that were wrong in the past is not the answer, man. It's not morally correct. It's not morally right. Because if you're a woman watching this and you think that it's fair to give you a bunch of benefits and just say, screw the men who were possibly more qualified for this. And I'll give you an example. Say a doctor, all right? Say your life is on the line. This is a big one, man. If your life is on the line and you're going to go to the doctors and there's a male doctor who is definitely leaps and bounds better than this woman doctor, but they chose the woman doctor because of, feminism or because things weren't fair so many years ago. Would you prefer that woman operate on you just because she's a woman? Or would you prefer that the man who was, it was proven that he was a better surgeon, a better doctor, better at all these things? If you knew that the guy was better, would you specifically choose the woman to work on you? Knowing that it was a life or death? You needed a heart transplant. The woman hasn't really done any. She's just read about it. But the man has done 100 of them. And you knew he was good. And he's never once lost a patient. Would you choose the woman who has only read about it and has never actually tried it? Or would you choose the man who's done 100 of them with a 100% success rate? Like, this is easy stuff to answer, and I don't think that I'm being like a bad guy for saying this. I'm just pointing out logic. I'm pointing out the common sense behind this. I'm pointing out vice versa. Say the woman had done 100 heart plans. I'm not trying to make this like, I hate to keep using the example that the man, like say the man did this and the woman wasn't good. I don't want it to be like that. Say the woman was amazing, an incredible doctor. She's done 100 transplants, and the man's only read about them. The man's a podiatrist, pediatrician, whatever they are. You know what I'm saying? Clearly, I'm not one of them. But say the man was terrible, right? He just read about it, but he's never done it. But the woman's done 1,000, 100 of them, 1,000, whatever. She's done a ton of them. She's experienced. She knows what she's doing. She's never failed. And the guy has only read about it. I don't want the guy. I don't want the guy operating on me. Who knows what he's capable of doing? It might be like that episode of Seinfeld where he drops a junior mint inside me. And all of a sudden, every time I breathe, it's like, every time I inhale, it's just minty fresh. Every time. Like, I don't know, dude. I don't understand the stuff. But what I do know is that if you have anybody who's extremely qualified, but then you have the opposite sex or the opposite color or the opposite height or the opposite sexual preference, that stuff does not matter. It really doesn't. At the end of the day, when it comes to any issue, especially important ones like being a doctor or a teacher, if you don't know what you're doing, I don't care what color you are, I don't care if you're man or female, I don't care if you're gay or straight. If you don't know what you're doing, I don't want you operating on. I don't want you doing anything to me. I don't want you teaching me. I don't want you operating on me. At the same token, I don't care I don't care if you are handicapped, I guess is the correct way to say it. I don't care if you have everything going against you, but you're amazing at heart transplants. That's the one I want. Whether you're a woman, man, gay, straight, if you're a transgender individual and you're amazing at surgery, that's who I want. I don't want somebody who just fits the criteria of, well, are they male? Check. Are they white? Check. Are they straight? Check. I don't care about none of that stuff. And honestly, nobody should. I'm sure there's people out there that are going to be listening like, oh, I just want a man doing it. I just want a man firefighter. I do when it comes to having to lift people. I want somebody who's strong to lift. If you're a firefighter, you should be strong. I don't care if you're man or female. You should be able to lift 250 pounds. If you're a 300-pound man, there's a good chance you're dying in that building. There's a good chance that fire's getting you. And it's not because they chose a woman firefighter. It's because you're huge. And I don't want to say like mean. I'm not being mean, but let's be honest. Most human beings aren't toting up 300 pounds over their shoulder and rocking on out that ladder, shooting on out of a fiery building. Most people aren't doing that, whether you're a man or a woman. So the point that I'm saying is that I want the person that's most qualified. I want the person that gets the best test scores. I want the person that is the right person for the job. It doesn't matter what color you are, or what male or female, or gender. None of that matters to me. And it shouldn't matter to anybody. It really shouldn't. But we're in this time now where it's like, well, we have to have, because there was a case where the reason I brought up the black and the Asian about the getting into school, because this actually happened. I can't remember what school it is. Yeah, I'm sure you can research it on Google. There was a guy and a black guy and an Asian guy who both took their SAT scores, I believe it was. They tried to get into the same university. The Asian guy actually had a higher score, and they chose the black guy to get in. And it's like, dude, why? Like, I'm not against the black guy getting in. I'm against the guy who wasn't as qualified or who didn't score as good. I'm against screwing over the guy who does better on the test just because he doesn't fit your criteria, your demographic. Because he doesn't fit your criteria of what you think should, well, we need more women in. We need more Asians in. We need more black guys in. We need more gay people in. We need more trannies in. Dude, we're doing this identity politic crap, and it's like, it's very, very terrible for society. It's going down a bad, bad path, and I don't think a lot of people think about that, like, far ahead. All they're thinking about right now is they're reacting emotionally. They're reacting with, well, we need more. It's just right. It's just not right what was done to them in the past. I agree, man. I agree that what was done in the past was not cool. And I agree that there's some things still going on that aren't cool. But you don't overcorrect what happened in the past and screw over good, qualified people. Because, listen, man, if there's a female teacher who is brilliant at philosophy and she wants the job of teaching philosophy, but then you have a black man try to also be a philosophy teacher, but he's actually just good at math. And then you specifically chose the black male over the Asian female, because you need more black people, or because you need more males, or because you need more gay people. Like say He's black, male, and gay. But the woman is an Asian straight woman. And you choose the black gay man, not because he's a man, but because he fits the black and the gay criteria. And the straight Asian woman only fits the woman and maybe Asian. I mean, there's plenty of smart Asians, so you don't need more of them, right? I'm joking clearly, but that's kind of what you see. That's kind of the mindset that you're seeing, and it blows my mind. It's incredibly wild and awful, and this is why I say at its core, feminism is immoral. Because to choose, like if you're all for women having rights, that's not immoral. That is perfectly moral. What's immoral to me is when you specifically choose to benefit the woman just because she's a woman. Or when you specifically choose to benefit the gay person just because they're gay. Or you specifically choose the minority just because they're a minority. You just blah, 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 blah. Like, you can't choose things just because they are. You have to have a logical reason behind what you're doing and why you're doing it. And to me, like, you want the smartest teacher to teach the kids. You want the most successful doctor or the most successful operation guy to be the guy operating on you. You want the smartest politician in office, not the most clever, cunning, witty guy that's going to screw you over. But, like, for instance, do I think that Trump was the most qualified guy? No, absolutely not. Do I think Hillary? No, definitely not. But when it came to Trump and Hillary, that's the only two real options you had. Because here's the thing, man. I honestly think from what I seen, it seemed like Bernie Sanders was by far the most, I guess, likable on all fronts. But the Democratic side chose to screw over Bernie Sanders and make Hillary their number one. And I think so many people looked at Hillary and was like, no, there's no way. I mean, the whole Benghazi thing, she just seems kooky and psychotic. She's calling people deplorables. Now, is Trump better? No, he's making a lot of crazy statements. I think the thing that got Trump to win is the fact that not only was Hillary just a horrible, horrible choice, I think for a lot of people, even Democrats, a lot of them wanted Bernie Sanders over Hillary. But I think not only was she a bad option, but people enjoyed that Trump would say what was on his mind instead of giving you the whole, like, let's be honest, for the last 20, 30, 100 years, every politician would just tell whatever group of people they were in front of, they would just tell them whatever they want to hear. And Trump wasn't doing that. Trump was like, look, dude, I'm going to tell you what's on my mind. Whether you want to hear it or not, I'm going to tell you what's on my mind. And I think a lot of people were like, man, it's a breath of fresh air. This guy doesn't care about politics. He doesn't care about stirring things up. He doesn't care about being the best political champion in our country. He cares about telling you what's up. He cares about telling you what he really believes. Now, he goes a little too far sometimes. But my point was, it's not that Trump was such an amazing candidate and that's why he should have been in office. My point was, you had two options, him and Hillary. And I think most people are not going to look at Hillary and be like, yeah, she was clearly a better option. I think there was a lot of people, a lot of Democrats that wanted nothing to do with Hillary. And I honestly believe this. I really do believe that if it was Trump against Bernie, I think Bernie would have won hands down. But you guys, the Democrats chose Hillary. This is where they screw up, man. I think it honestly has to do with money. I think that it's undeniable that something happened, because to me, Bernie Sanders made the most sense when it comes to those three. And you could throw Ted Cruz in there on the conservative side. I think that political speaking, I think that Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz would have made for some great, great debates, because it would have been clearly political based and not popularity based. Because I think when you're throwing Hillary Clinton in there, you're shooting off the dreams of all the people that were like, yeah, Bill will be back in office. Let's vote for Hillary. People wanted Bill. They didn't want Hillary. I think looking back, I think most people can honestly say that to themselves. If you wanted Hillary Clinton in office, it's because you wanted Bill Clinton back in office, not because you wanted Hillary. Because the whole idea of her being up there going, ah, with all these crazy, like, The crazy crap that you'd see all the time. I swear it seemed like almost every time I seen her on TV, that was the exact look she had. Minus the Detroit D hat. I think she had this whole like, it was a weird thing. It was almost like, I don't even want to be mean. I'm just going to leave it at that. It just seemed like that somebody may have shoved something kind of to straighten her up, you know? It just, that's where we're going to leave it. So, not that Trump was a great option either. But I think when you had Hillary's crazy ass up there, and then you had him, Trump, bashing people and going after people the way we haven't seen a president do in a long time, if ever, I think it was just refreshing to a lot of people. Now, does that mean that Trump is a perfect candidate? Nope. Does that mean he's a wonderful, phenomenal president? Nope. Does that mean that everybody should love him? And I think that you should support your president. I'm not saying you should be a huge Trump supporter. What I'm saying is, as a president of a country, whoever it is, if Hillary was in there right now, I think you should support her. If anybody is in there as the president, as the leader of your country, you should support that position. You should support the leader of the country. That doesn't mean you have to support Trump and all his crazy tweets. And I know some people think that he's racist. I still have yet to actually see proof of that. I hear a lot of people say that, oh, he said this. And then it's like, well, can you show me that he said that? Because I didn't see that. And they're like, well, yeah, I think he said that. And then they Google it and then they find that, okay, well, he didn't say it like this, but he said it. He said something about Mexico and therefore he must be racist. Anyway, I'm not going to get into how much people should like or hate him. What I'm saying is you should support your president, whoever it is. If President Camacho from the movie Idiocracy, Terry Crews, if he was in there, you should support the guy because he's leading your country. It's like I hear that or I see that meme or I hear that saying where they're like, this is like he's like the pilot of your plane. So if you're rooting for him to go down, you're rooting for the plane to go down and you're on it. And it's so true in a certain way, man. It's so true because you're rooting for the leader of your nation to fail. And do you know what that means for a president to fail? That means he screwed your country up. And it's not a good way to look at things, man. It really isn't. I don't know why people do this. But that being said, I think when you start taking identities of groups, whether it be feminists, socialists, if you're taking gays or minorities or whatever, I think when you try to make people fall into an identity, into a group, and you say, this group needs to be exalted, they need to put them up on a pedestal, and we need to take care of them because they were wronged in the past. You're 100% right that they were wronged in the past, but you can't overcorrect any of them to make them better. It's not moral because not what you're doing. Here's what, at the bottom line, this is the other side of the coin. If you want to exalt gays, that means you have to push down straight people. If you want to exalt women, you have to push down men. If you want to exalt minorities, you have to push down non-minorities. If you want to exalt trannies or transgenders, if you want to exalt transgenders, you have to push down non-transgenders. So you see what I'm saying? You can't just, it's not like white straight males are all the way up here and everybody else is down here and you need to keep giving them more and more and more and more and more and more. There, now we're even. It doesn't work like that, dude. That's not how it happens. Because what you're doing, see, that's what Martin Luther King wanted. Martin Luther King wanted, like, say here's where the best group of people had it. He wanted everybody in the world to be right there with it. No, sorry, let me go that way. He wanted everyone to be right there with it. He didn't want there to be like, all right, well, white people are here, so we want to make sure we give all the black people up to here to make do for what bad things happened in the past. He never said that. So the great champion, Martin Luther King, who everybody should at least look at and think this dude was onto something. He had great morals. He had great values. Now, there might be some things in there that I'm missing. He might have been very evil in a certain way, but from everything I know about Martin Luther King, he wanted all people of all walks of life to be treated equally, to have equal opportunities, not to have equal outcomes, to have equal opportunities, because there's a major, major, major difference between equal opportunity and equal outcome. If you push down a certain group of people, the outcome is not equal. That's not equal, no matter how you look at it. You push down anybody. You push down women, you push down gays, you push down transgender, you push down whites, you push down black, you push down any group of people in the world. If you push them down, it's not equal outcome, right? When you try to make everything equal for everyone, not push somebody above and push somebody down, when you try to make the opportunities equal, you can let the outcomes be what they are. But you got to give everyone the equal opportunity. And that is what America was always kind of founded on. We just weren't there in society yet. But we're still pushing in that direction. And that's why I started with this whole feminist thing. Because at the core of all of this, the feminist ideas has been what I've been hearing constantly. That's what made me think of this topic and this talk. But it's not just about feminism. It's about so much more than that. It's about every group of people. I think that right now what you're seeing with a lot of Democratic politicians, with a lot of Democratic people, you're seeing this rise of identity politics where they want to say, all right, if you're gay, we want to do this for you. If you're female, we want to do this for you. If you're transgender, we want to do this for you. If you're this, but nobody says if you're white, we want to do this for you. If you're male, we want to do this for you. If you're straight, we want to do this for you. Straight white male. And I'm not saying if you're all three of those at once. I'm saying if you're straight, we want to do this for you. If you're white, we want to. If you're male, we want to do this. I don't hear anybody saying that. I don't hear anybody trying to exalt straight people, exalt white people, exalt males. I don't see anybody trying to uplift any of those three categories, let alone if you fit all three, which I happen to, straight, white, male. I fit all three of those. I'm not asking for some benefit. I'm not asking for a favor. I'm not asking anybody to be like, to feel sorry for me. I'm not asking anybody to be like, yeah, you have it bad. I don't think I do have it bad. Okay? And trust me, I'm not exactly where I'd like to be in life. I'd like to be making more. I'd like to be doing a different career. I'd like to be doing a lot of things that I'm not currently doing. But I don't blame anybody for it other than myself. I don't blame, listen, my parents taught me a lot. I don't blame them for why I am where I am. I've said things about them pushing me in a certain direction, but ultimately my actions all fall on me. It's my responsibility to become smarter. It's my responsibility to better myself and my career and my life and my relationships with people and everything. It's my responsibility. It's not yours. It's not that person's. It's not my parents. It's not my bosses. It's not my teachers. It's none of those. I'm a 34-year-old, almost 35-year-old man. It's my responsibility to get myself on. And no matter how old you are, if you're 15 years old, if you're 55 years old, if you're 95 years old, it's your responsibility to get you to where you need to be. And let me show you kind of what I mean, because you hear a lot of people saying, well, if you're a black man in this day and age, it's hard to, it's hard to get the same opportunities and all this. Obama was a black man. And he was the president of our country. It wasn't because he was black. It wasn't because he was half or mixed. It wasn't because he had wealthy parents. It wasn't because he went to this college or he dated that woman or he did. It was because he worked his ass off in his field to get where he wanted to be. And anybody that is where they are, Ben Carson, Colin Powell or Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice. They're all black. Some men, some female, right? Or one female. But Oprah, she's a billionaire. She worked her ass off to get there. No, I guarantee you, if you ask Oprah right now, do you feel like you have any negative? Do you feel like you had anything holding you back in life? No, she's an effing billionaire. She may tell you some kind of BS like, yeah, I had this holding me back. Really? You're a billionaire. You had a talk show. You went to school. You got to where you are. You're extremely popular. She has her own TV show or TV network and magazine. And excuse me. I'm not trying to crap on any race of people, obviously. What I'm trying to do is give you examples of people that did not let white America or straight America or she's a female too. She didn't let the whole women being held back thing hold her back. She's a freaking billionaire. Kylie Jenner is about to be a billionaire, and she's done literally nothing except be the youngest daughter in a family of millionaires. Now she has her own things, but who do you think bought those things? She's got her own makeup line and her own clothing line and her own this and her own that, and she's famous and she's got all these Instagram followers and all this stuff. And trust me, I'm not trying to shit on Kylie Jenner, okay? I think it's amazing what she is able to accomplish. But the point is, she didn't have somebody holding her back. It wasn't like she was dampened in her benefits because of being a woman. She's probably going to become the youngest female billionaire ever. And she's the youngest child in a family of multi-millionaires. And she did nothing to get there. She had her parents and her family pay for all of her plastic surgeries to doll herself up. She had her parents give her money to help push her into the makeup industry and the fashion and the designing industry. Do you think she went to school? She's 20. She can't possibly have a degree. She might be 21 now. I don't know. Maybe 21, 22, whatever. But she's been a multi-millionaire since she was like 10. And what could she have possibly done at 10 that was worth, or 12, or 15, or 20? What could she have possibly done at any of these ages to warrant her being a multi-millionaire, almost billionaire? Nothing. She had a bunch of crap handed to her, and she did stuff with that. So I'm not knocking her, okay? I'm not shitting on her for that. She had benefits too, just like Donald Trump had money given from his dad, and it helped him buy this business and buy this business, and he did smart things with that money to make that money make more money, just like Kylie Jenner did, just like Oprah did. And I don't know if Oprah got money handed to her. I really don't know enough about Oprah, but what I'm saying is, she's a woman, she's black, she had nothing, nobody, she still made it, is my point. You can still make it. Doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what sex you are. It doesn't matter what sexual preference you have. You can still make it if you just shut out all the crap, all the excuses for holding you back, saying that, oh, well, I don't have the right skin color, or I'm not a male, or I'm not straight, or I'm not this, or you can cut all that nonsense out and start putting your head down and just tunnel vision, man. Grind. Get to where you want to be. If you feel like somebody's holding you back, you should find that to be more motivation to shoot you up even higher, to say, see, you can't do that to me. You can't hold me back. I'm powerful enough on my own. I don't need your help. I don't need money handed to me. There are plenty of people that started with nothing, and they're out there killing it right now. Like my man Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas was poor. Check him out. This dude is awesome. Very motivational. Very good. And the reason he's so motivational is because he has every right to be. He has every right to be emotional and powerful because the dude had nothing. He's also from up here, from Michigan. He had nothing. He was homeless. He was living out of a car, well, I guess not. That's not homeless. He's living out of a car. His home was his car. He was eating out of trash cans. He'll be the first to admit it. And now he's out there killing it. And he's a black man. He doesn't use his color. He doesn't use his homeless past. He doesn't use the lack of money or anything like that to hold him back and make excuses, because he has every right to. He could say, I'm a black man, I had nothing, I was homeless, I can just off myself, I can just live with nothing and just blame the government and blame white man and blame anything he wants to. He has all these excuses built in that he could use, and he doesn't, because he's out there. He knows that nobody can stop him. He is the only person that can stop him. I'm the only person that can stop me. You're the only person that can stop you. These ideas that you need help from these governmental groups or factions that can help like lift you up and put you where you need to be, and without these people you're nothing. No, it's BS. That's a faulty way of living. It's a cheap way out is what it is. You are capable. You are more than capable of doing whatever you want to do. You just have to think. You have to plan. You have to get a path set. You have to say, all right, look, I want to know more about this so I can be awesome in this field. The only way to get more knowledge is to study it, learn it, get good at it. I am a super firm believer that you do not need a degree to make you money or to bring you the life that you want. All you have to do is have it up here and then show that to the world. You have to prove that to people, that you do have it up here, that you are the champ, that you are the best. Nobody's going to hand it to you. Nobody wants to hand it to you. Name one person that wants to give you everything. If I had everything to give, maybe I would do that for you. But then again, I probably don't know you, so maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. I do want to help people, but you can't help everybody. And you can't think to yourself that if just this one guy would just give me a break, or this one guy would hand me money, or this one woman would just do this for me, or this one governmental faction would help me in this way, then all my dreams will come true. No, you have to make your dreams come true. Every great success story that I've ever been told, that I've ever heard, came from somebody basically not having much or not being given any benefit, and then they had to go out there and make their benefit. Those are usually the most successful people because they got the chip on their shoulder. They have no help. They got everyone doubting them. They got everyone telling them you can't do it. You're never going to be nothing. Those are the people that go out there and murder it, kill it, just make something. It's incredible. It's incredible how much you can achieve and accomplish in life when you know that you have it in here and you have it up here. And especially when you don't have people handing you stuff and nobody's out there just like making your dreams come true and making it great for you. When people have that drive to go out there and accomplish something when everyone tells you you can't, man, it feels so much better than when somebody just hands you everything and goes, because look at, if you get everything handed to you and then you accomplish stuff, what really did you accomplish? Like anybody, like that's like saying if you hand me $1 million, I can go buy a mansion right now. And then what do you think I'm going to feel like I accomplished a whole lot living in a mansion that you paid for? No. Like my parents try to help me every chance that they get, and I love them for it. I can't thank them enough. But at the end of the day, a lot of times I don't want their help because I want to know I can do it on my own. Now, is it nice to have them as a fallback? Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and BS you and act like, oh, no, it sucks having your parents want to help you out. No, that's an amazing benefit. I will say that. It is an amazing benefit. It's an amazing benefit to have anybody in your corner wanting to help you out. But you know what feels even better? When you do it on your own when everyone tells you you can't. That's what it should be about. Any group of people that tells you, well, we're going to help you accomplish this, and we're going to push down this other group just so we can help lift you up. That's immoral. That's wrong. It's not right to be pushing other people down to help uplift yourself. It was never right in the past. It's not right now. If you're a feminist and you believe that women should be empowered and should be, you should have the right attitude and women should be strong and have the right mentality, I 100% agree. I back you to the day I die on that. What I don't back you on is that women should be given jobs that men are more qualified for, or that, any group of person is more qualified. Women should not be given a benefit. No group of people should be given a benefit purely because they're part of a group of people. Nobody should. White people shouldn't. Men shouldn't. Straight people shouldn't. Christians shouldn't. I'm all for of those things. I'm telling you firsthand, I don't deserve extra benefits for being in any of those categories. I don't deserve any extra benefit for being in any category. The only benefit that I could possibly ever deserve is one that I create, or one that I've earned myself. That's the only type you should ever be proud of. Is if I honestly feel that you're more proud of yourself when you have all the odds are stacked against you and you still overcome it all. That's something worth being happy about and celebrating. You know what I mean? That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I don't know, man. I think we just live in this society now where everybody wants to be a part of a group and they want that group to be given all these benefits so they can just get the easy way out. And it's not like, yeah, I mean, the easy way out is, I guess, fun, or I guess good. It's nice to have that bonus, but it's also not very beneficial for your mind, for your psyche, for your willpower, for your strength, for your courage, for like knowing that you are a effing champion because you made it that way. That to me is infinitely more rewarding than knowing that you know, President Trump handed me a bunch of money because I happen to fall in this group of people. That's not cool. That's not fun. So I don't know, man. I think that when you expect some kind of a benefit because you're a part of a group, I think that's a dangerous game to play, and I don't think we should be helping any one group of anybody. I mean, help people that need help. Don't help people because they fall into some identity. That's about all, man. I'm going to leave it at that. Please comment and tell me where you fall in this category. If I'm wrong, if you think I'm a complete misogynistic a-hole, is that the right word? No, bigoted, misogynistic. I'm trying to wrap my head around all this here. But no, seriously, man, I don't understand it for the life of me. I really don't. And I'm all for people feeling empowered. I think everybody should. I think you should find it in here. I think if you feel that you're being held down, that should be the drive you have to rise up and conquer. That should be that. To me, that's what that's what I have. And it's easy to say that because I'm a straight white male Christian that I should have, you know, that I have all these benefits. No, I'm not saying I like the tough road. I'm not saying that at all. Of course I like the easy road. I want people to just hand me everything. But there's a power that comes from within to say, you didn't give me this. I created that myself. I did it. I rose above all your boundaries and your restrictions and you're trying to hold me back. I rose up above when everyone told me I couldn't. That to me is amazing. I love that stuff, dude. And that's just me though. And to tell somebody that because they're in a specific group of people that they deserve some extra special benefits, it's BS, man. And I'm even speaking on my own color, my own group, my own whatever. I don't think we should be wrapped in that. That's why I say it all the time. We're all humans. We are all relevant. We all matter. Now, nobody should be given extra special benefits. I think it's immoral. That's where I fall on this. So, sorry to rant about this. I just had to get this out there. Please, if you think I'm wrong, if you think that I'm crazy or nuts for saying what I'm saying, please comment. Let me know. Please comment below on YouTube. If you're listening to this on like Spotify or Anchor or Stitcher or any of them that I'm also on, if you're listening, please contact me on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Snapchat, wherever you can find me, right? Facebook, whatever. On Instagram, you can find me at Really Rich Podcast. On Tumblr and Twitter, you can find me at Really Rich Adam. Yeah, and here on YouTube, man. You know, comment below. Please let me know. I want everyone to be involved, and it doesn't just have to be guided at me, man. I want people to talk to people too. Like I want the comments to be so flooded that people are talking to other people also. And if you're and I encourage everyone to be nice about it, be good to each other about it. You don't need to be a complete shithead about it. You don't need to be attacking people and be like, oh, you're a bigot, you're an a-hole, you don't know what you're talking about, you're stupid. Look, and I can take it. If you want to say all those things to me, let me have it. I'm a grown human being. I can handle it. But to attack other people because, especially behind the keyboard, because you don't know them and you want to just go after them, it's pathetic. It's a loser mentality. It's a waste. But, yeah, I don't know. Please let me know how you feel about this, all right? I'm going to wrap this up. I love you all for listening. Thank you all so much. You know I love you. Please get a hold of me. And let's do this again soon. See you guys soon. Peace. I'm out.